Elicia Clegg here, and we are with, I'm going to say it wrong, Modwain
Allaron.
I was practicing. So we wanted to get together because we are on opposite sides of the world, both culturally and geographically. 8 hours apart, that's a long ways. We wanted to talk about there's no nice way of saying this, but the destruction of the man. So being male has become toxic. Therefore, we want to explore what will happen if I don't even know who they are, succeeds in destroying everything that it means to be a male.
Well, so far in our history is that by the destruction of the male, you are basically driving a wedge within your very society. We see decline of birth rates in just about every Western country. We see, how do you call this nicely? You see matriarchy on a rise, whilst at the same time women complaining about how they don't have any rights. And then funnily enough, they browbeat men, gave those women the rights to begin with. So what we're seeing is a society that is breaking up from within. Funny enough, this is something that Marxism has always been a great fan of doing. This is basically what the whole idea of the Frankfurt School of Thought was about. How can we disrupt a society? And the best way to disrupt a society is not, as a lot of people thought, by destroying its history, but by destroying its men.
Yes, because by destroying, and I'm going to throw some stuff out here because I gave it a lot of thought. By destroying the man, you also destroy the woman. And by destroying the woman, you destroy the child. And then you have a bunch of little kids running around that can be easily harvested and picked off by the ones who claim to be doing it for our own good.
It's kind of funny because if you look at it, and in a way it's kind of double. I blame feminism, and at the same time I don't really blame feminism because this is Marxism. But what we've created in our society is a system where a handful of women, and depending on which country you are, it's between 10 to 20% of the women, decide the fate of everyone. And they don't do it because they want to help people. No, they do it because they want to push a certain narrative. The narrative that basically destroys the whole concept of boy and girl, because these are now suddenly social constructs. Even though every study in the history of the world, and this is even true for their own studies, prove that boys are boys and girls are girls. You're not allowed to say this, you're not allowed to think this, and boys are bad for being boys, so we need to punish them, and we need to protect girls because, well, they're girls, they need protecting. It's that incredible double standard that created a society where a girl can run up to a boy and hit the boy and then basically laugh in his face, say, you're not allowed to hit me back because you're a boy. Don't tell the truth. And when it boils down to it, who are bad? Men are bad. And this is not something that we only see with adults. This is something that they cook in at the very youth. When a kid 2-3 years old, they're already telling him that, oh no, he's bullshit, that's bad. And by this, we're destroying our men.
We are. And it's sad.
It's scary.
Girls are saying that boys are getting to a point where they don't even want to try anymore. Why try when the game is rigged against you? And a lot of them, they don't even want to get a license. They don't want to ask a girl out. They want to hide from the world, which I don't blame them because they're being told constantly nonstop that they're the reason that everything is bad in this world.
Yeah. Well, this is something we see throughout the whole Western world, unfortunately. I mean, in the Netherlands, we had a minister of education talking about there were three groups that had a problem with schooling. There were kids from foreign parents, children with a learning disability, and boys. And to me, if you just say the group boys, which should basically mean half of the students, half of the students in the Netherlands have a problem with our education system. Our education system is not aligned to teach our boys. To me, it is a huge problem. But to the minister, it was the third group. We have lost our focus. In the Netherlands, we had a campaign not too long ago, Let Boys Be Boys, which created an uproar because of the feminist community was like, yeah, but why can't we let our girls be girls? We're not saying you cannot let girls be girls. We're asking you to let our boys be boys. Does this mean boys have the right to hit women? No, of course not. But they do have the right to be boisterous. They do have the right to be explorative. They do have the right to expend their energy. And somehow we're not allowed to do that. Our boys are not allowed to do this. So what we see is that, as you said yourself, they're opting out. They're not going to universities or higher education. Why bother? It was rigged against them to begin with anyway.
Yeah. So we're seeing a massive decline, and I mean, we could play the blame game all we'd like, but it gets to a point where you have to say, okay, enough is enough. What can we do now to fix this problem? And I think I have a few friends that they have boys, all boys. And so they're allowing their boys to be boys. They're allowing their boys to climb trees. They're allowing their boys to go, camping and learning all this fun stuff. And I think I really would like to see it where we can get to a point where we let our children be who they are and not punish them for who they are. I think that's a little bit more forgiving of it.
A girl 8 years old to a boy 8 years old. A girl 8 year old can easily sit in a school bench and learn from a book. She can. And I'm not even going to talk about whether boys and girls are equally intelligent, because to me, it doesn't matter. One can score higher than the other. I don't give a fuck. That's really not the point. The point is, girls, women, from an age on, I think 6 onward, can actually learn by sitting still. Not. They need to expend their physical energy. Their whole biology is forcing them to move, to expend energy, to create muscle mass. It's something that has been forced into us, evolutionary. So are boys stupid? Can they learn? Yeah, they can learn. They can actually learn a lot better if they move.
And you know what you could do, like if you're trying to sell this idea to the public, because you have little boys that don't conform that way. Like you're a boy, you're a boy, you're a boy. But so you have a boy that does like think of like the Stephen Hawkings and, the people like that are so like, and I've met boys like that. My daughter, my teenager, happens to like computer programming. And so she's around the boys, but she's in a boy world, but the boy world is not so much the boy world, because computer programming itself is a little bit different, where they are like beyond focused. Like they put focus to shame, but they like that. So what you do is if we could just create an environment that allows kids that are like totally focused, like crazy focused, to be in this group. And then you have the ones that like to exercise. My granddaughter's like that. She is wild, jumping and everything. You have your boys and a couple of girls in there that are willing to rough and tumble. And then you have the group of that are more kind and caring, that want that. I don't see why we can't do that. We have enough resources, and the computer alone has opened this up. I don't understand why we're still doing the same schooling we did back in the day, but now we're punishing boys because We're not Japan.
Back in the day, we did do this.
Yeah.
Back in the days, we did say, okay, you have to go to school 8 hours, but every day there will be several times, for example, recess and half an hour of running and physical activity. Mm-hmm. We used to do that every day. We haven't been doing that since the last, I'm going to say 25 years. But I remember that
it feels about like that. Yeah.
Society suddenly had decided that boys weren't allowed to be rowdy.
Why did they decide that? That's what I don't understand. Like, do you ever really think about it? Like, go really deep into thought and say, why do women want to make men into women?
Because
why?
If you look at it from a very black and white point of view, if you're a man, you're supposed to be able to know what you're talking about. You're supposed to be able to be an island, which is somewhat a double standard, because of course a man is not an island, but you're supposed to be this strong individual, and people need to look up to you. Mm-hmm. This is the idea feminists create of men. This is not how men look at each other.
Yeah.
And if I have the idea that you are supposed to be an island, I need to break you down because I don't want you to become an island. And it's not that I don't want you to become an island because I fear your strength. No, I need to break you down before you get to that point. Because if I can indoctrinate you when you're a kid, as an adult, you will do what I say.
Yeah.
I've seen reports from Australia where they actually said 90% of the people with the ADD or ADHD diagnosis are suffering from a false diagnosis. Mm-hmm. Every woman or girl with this diagnosis, you will find between 5 to 10 men with this diagnosis. How come we gave this diagnosis so much? Because what do we do when kids are rowdy and they're energetic? We want them to quiet down, because if they quiet down, it's easier for us to indoctrinate them. It's easier for us to dominate them. Basically, what's happening is our boys are not forming themselves into big boys and men, but they're forming themselves into something that is not supposed to be a man. Mm-hmm. Actually gave women the right to vote. I'm going to interrupt you because I really, really like to make this point. Do you know the first country that gave all men and all women the right to vote?
No.
The Grand Duchy of Finland. They did so at the end of the 19th century. All men, all women got the right to vote at the same time. Do you know how many feminists the Grand Duchy of Finland had?
How many? 0.
I'll give you a hint. It's a nice round number.
10?
0.
0.
Don't get rounded with that.
I want to end this by giving parents a little bit of hope and some advice. So especially for and I don't get paid by this person, so don't think I'm shilling, okay? Because I'm not. I do not get paid for this. But this book right here, can you see it? Mm-hmm. Okay. So this book is a book that I'm going to...
So leave it up there for a while.
Okay. So this book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teenagers, right? Get this for your children when they're, I would say at least, I mean, there's not a minimum, but I would say by 12, 13. He has tapped into everything that's going on for children, and he's teaching them in this book how they can go become the person that they're meant to be, and that they can love their community and their friends without succumbing to the pressures that the world is throwing at them. E.g., there is an actual part in this book that talks about victimhood mentality and how not to fall into the trap. So I highly recommend that for any parent to give to their kid and to really work through it, because it's almost like an information war against our children right now, and I think that anything that parents can do to help their kids survive this destructive crap that they're being taught, that we should do it.
Yeah. Okay. And if I can also give one point of advice, if you go to your doctor and your doctor tells you your kid has ADHD, take him home. This goes for your daughters too, by the way. Take him home and spend time with them whilst really moving. Start running with them, start biking with them, play sports with them. Give them an outlet at least every day for at least half an hour at a time. And then see if he still has ADHD. Because our boys are bolsterous. They need to expend their physical energy. If they cannot expend their physical energy, they have a problem. And they become restless. And they start doing stupid stuff. Basically the same as we all did when we were kids. Are not a luxury. They're not a bauble to gloat over. They're work. We need to work at our kids. And we need to spend time on them. Don't fall for the trap that by dropping in some medication, you can make them more demure, because that's not how it's supposed to go. And you're destroying them by doing this. Thank you.
Great advice. And homeschool if you can. There you go. Boom. Plug in the homeschoolers. Because you know I homeschool.
Well, I don't really, I'm not a real big fan of homeschooling, but then again, in the Netherlands, homeschooling isn't as common. I mean, it's not that it's not allowed, but it's just not common. But as a teacher, do not sit back when your kids go to school.
Yeah.
Be interested in what happens at school, because do not blindly believe that the school will do what's best for your kid. The school will do what the school is told to do.
Honestly, our future is at stake, and it doesn't look so bright right now.
Nope, we really have a problem, and it starts with the destruction of our men and our boys. But don't worry. In all fairness and in all equality speaking, don't worry, women will be next.
That's what I said. Yeah, first starts with the man, then the female, and then the children are all for the picking. All right, I've kept you so long. It's so late. I know that I hear the children and getting restless too. So I've really enjoyed this. I will leave a link to his channel because I'm not Modwain. I get so much crap for not pronouncing names correctly. I wish everybody was just named Jan and John. I've got that down, Jan and John. You should really check him out. He's very intelligent. He comes from like a totally different world than me, and we're both seeing the same thing. So I think it's time for people to stand up and take notice, because if you have people that are worlds apart, grown up in totally different cultures, saying, hey, something's not right, we really do need to get serious about it. So we need to start talking to each other. We need to start preparing with each other. We need to be parents, and we need to love our children, and we need to let boys be boys, not bad boys, but boys.
Yeah. It doesn't mean that's bad behavior.
Girls be girls.
I love girls too.
Yes. Let me like to go shopping for shoes.
Not all. Hashtag not all.
I know. I don't like to shop, but that is one of the things I love to shop for is shoes. It's really weird. I hate shopping, but I can spend hours looking for the perfect pair of shoes. There you go.
On that note, thank you all for watching. I will also put this on my channel. Criticism, as always, is more than welcome. I really look forward to what you guys think and where you agree with us, or where you think like, yeah, you're full of it, mate. Bring it on. Really. Don't believe it because I say it. Look into it.
Exactly.
I think this is where we're going to stop then, isn't it?
It is. All right.
Bye-bye.